Once upon a time, I held a deep conviction that family was the very essence of life itself. In the grand tapestry of life, amidst the trials and tribulations that fate may cast your way, there exists an unwavering truth. The bonds of blood will forever stand as your steadfast allies. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Isla. In her journey through life, she discovered a profound truth. The deepest heartaches often arise not from the hands of strangers, but from those we hold dear. It originates from those who once pressed their lips gently to your forehead, whispering sweet goodnights into the quiet of the evening. In the tapestry of our lives, I found myself woven as the steadfast thread, the one upon whom others could always rely. In a moment when silence reigned and the world seemed to hold its breath, there emerged a figure, brave and resolute, who answered the call when all others turned away. Once upon a time, my parents stumbled upon their dream house, a charming two-story nestled just beyond the bustling city. They found themselves lacking the necessary funds for the down payment. In a time not so long ago, my father found himself in a difficult predicament, his credit tarnished like a once bright coin, now dulled by wear. Meanwhile, my mother, a strong and resilient woman, had chosen to step away from her career earlier than planned, her health guiding her toward a different path. With a heart full of resolve, I crossed the threshold. For years, I toiled and saved, dreaming of a place to call my own. I cut corners wherever I could, forgoing vacations that others enjoyed, and even took on freelance work after my regular job, all in pursuit of that cherished goal. Yet, I did not pause to ponder. With a steady hand, I inscribed my name upon the parchment, sealing the mortgage agreement with them. In that moment, I relinquished nearly every dollar I possessed, a leap of faith into the unknown. As the moment unfolded, tears streamed down their faces, and with trembling voices, they called me their angel. My sister, Samira, wrapped her arms around me in a warm embrace and whispered, "We'll carry this moment with us forever, Isla." I believed her. Oh, how deeply I was convinced by her words. For a time, the world seemed to shine with promise. In that house, we wove a tapestry of memories that lingered in the air, each moment a thread in the fabric of our shared story. Gather round for family barbecues, where laughter fills the air, movie nights that stretch into the early hours, and birthdays overflowing with cake, yet somehow, there are never enough chairs to go around. In my heart, I sensed that I had forged a bond with them, a connection that felt enduring and steadfast. We were near, or at least that was my belief. And so it was that the text arrived. One fateful night, as the stars twinkled above, a message appeared in our family group chat, stirring curiosity and excitement. As I completed the last folds of laundry, the night wrapped around me like a soft blanket, and just as I was ready to surrender to the embrace of sleep, my phone buzzed, breaking the stillness of the moment. As I cast my gaze downward, there it was, waiting to be discovered. In the shadows of our hearts, you have faded away, leaving only echoes of what once was. In due time, our lawyer shall reach out to you with a call. In every moment we faced, your sister stood by us, unwavering and steadfast, never once faltering in her support. Our journey can continue without your presence. Once I delved into its pages, and then again, I found myself drawn back to its depths. In that moment, it felt as though the very ground beneath my feet had been pulled away, leaving my heart suspended in a breathless pause. The people I bled for, starved for, stood by when they had nothing. With a single message, they severed our connection. There was no phone call to be heard, no warning, and so it was simply that. As I gazed at the screen before me, a sense of numbness enveloped me, like a thick fog settling in the early morning light. In that moment, I felt the urge to unleash a torrent of emotions, screaming, crying, and calling out to them in a fury that bubbled within me. Yet I chose not to. In that moment, I simply responded, "As you desire." There I was, lost in thought, my gaze fixed upon the luminous message that danced upon my phone screen, holding my attention for what felt like an eternity. As the chill crept in, my fingers turned icy, a stark reminder of the encroaching winter's breath. My thoughts struggled to comprehend the harshness that unfolded before me. It felt as though my heart had sensed a great calamity, while my mind lingered in a state of disbelief, questioning, is this truly happening? In the shadows of our hearts, you have faded away, leaving only echoes of what once was. It was hardly more than a whisper, a mere fragment of thought, barely taking shape in the vast expanse of silence. Merely a keen edge cloaked in the guise of language. In that moment, I felt the weight of their indifference, for they did not even utter my name. In the tapestry of my family, it was clear that my parents had woven a special thread for my sister, Samira, choosing her above all else. Once more, it seems that for months, Samira had been weaving a tale of discontent, murmuring her grievances in hushed tones to those around her. She painted me as a puppet master, pulling strings from the shadows, all because my name graced the house papers. Once upon a time, there was a girl who shone like the sun, her laughter bright, and her tales even brighter, weaving a tapestry of charm and deception that captivated all around her. She possessed the uncanny ability to twist reality, shaping the truth until it curled around her like a delicate ribbon. The message carried a weight that transcended mere emotion. It was within the bounds of the law. In due time, our lawyer shall reach out to you with a call. They chose not to engage with me as if I were one of their own kind. They sought to treat me as a looming shadow, a challenge to be vanquished. Little did I know the secrets Samira had whispered to them, yet in that moment, it felt as though it held no significance at all. In a world woven with trust, they embraced her words wholeheartedly, leaving no room for doubt. Ah, the most challenging chapter of the tale? Not a flicker of doubt danced in their words. There shall be no room for doubt. There was no room for elaboration. It was nothing more than a pristine, icy slice. In the quiet solitude of my small apartment, a space I had chosen to remain in, so as not to disturb the peace of the home I had a hand in purchasing, an unexpected wave washed over me. In that moment, I felt like a wanderer in my own existence, a stranger navigating the familiar yet distant landscape of my life. Each moment I poured into them, every dollar spent, every sacrifice made, lingered in my mind like ashes dancing on the breeze. Yet tears did not fall from my eyes. Not at that moment. In that moment, I understood that allowing a single tear to escape would unravel me completely, and they were not meant to witness my fragility. With a gentle touch, I crafted my reply, "As you wish," and then, with a sense of tranquility, I placed the phone down, allowing silence to envelop the moment. At last, the tremors that had gripped my hand began to fade away. With a determined heart, I rose from my seat, inhaled deeply, and made my way to the kitchen. It wasn't tears I sought to shed into a pillow, but rather the refreshing clarity of a glass of water to ignite my thoughts. For if they sought to weave this into the fabric of legality, then I too would join the dance. In the beginning, I came into this world with little to my name, yet I toiled relentlessly, pouring my heart and soul into every endeavor, striving harder than many around me. As the sun dipped below the horizon and laughter filled the air around me, while other kids reveled in the joy of post-college celebrations, I found myself embracing the quiet solitude of hard work. I took on double shifts, pouring my energy into every task, and as the moon rose high, I delved into the world of freelancing, crafting my dreams late into the night. Once upon a time, I set forth on a humble quest, driven by a singular ambition, to gather enough treasures to create something enduring for those dear to my heart. In a humble abode, where riches were but a distant dream, I held onto a flicker of hope. With unwavering faith, I believed that if we clung tightly to one another, we could ascend the heights of our aspirations, united in our journey toward a brighter tomorrow. In a time not so long ago, My parents stumbled upon a house that made them pause, their hearts filled with uncertainty. Though the seller extended a tempting offer, it remained just beyond grasp, like a distant star twinkling in the night sky. Yet, there was a glimmer in my mother's eyes as she stood upon that front porch, envisioning little ones frolicking through the garden, their laughter dancing on the breeze. My father wore a mask of pride, yet beneath that facade, I sensed the quiet workings of his mind, tallying each dollar that slipped through their fingers like grains of sand. As the stars twinkled above, I found myself stepping forward, ready to lend a hand. With a glimmer of determination in my eyes, I shared my secret with them. I've been saving. The promise of a new beginning rests upon my shoulders, for I hold the means to cover the down payment. Let us weave a tale where the mortgage finds its rightful place under my name. It shall be our humble abode. In a moment heavy with emotion, my mother shed tears. In that moment, my father enveloped me in his arms, a gesture reminiscent of the tender embraces from my childhood, a time long past. With the glee of a young one celebrating a special day, Samira's hands came together in joyful applause. "Isla," she exclaimed, "you are truly our savior." In those days, it seemed like love was in the air, yet there was more to the tale than met the eye. In the passage of a year, Samira found herself ensnared in a financial abyss, having bravely left her job to chase the shimmering allure of her entrepreneurial dreams. In a time of great turmoil, she found herself ensnared by the weight of 3 maxed-out credit cards. The relentless calls from debt collectors echoed in her ears, leaving her feeling lost and uncertain of where to seek refuge. She approached me, as fate would have it. "I only need a few thousand to keep the lights on," she pleaded, her voice laced with desperation. "Whisper this secret softly, for it is not meant for the ears of our dear parents." And so, with a flick of my wrist, I sent the money her way. It happened not once, not twice, but 5 times, each occurrence weaving a tale of its own. In a moment of sacrifice, I poured out the last remnants of my savings, once earmarked for a long-awaited vacation or perhaps a humble used car, all because of the bond one shared with her, my sister. In the quiet corners of my mind, I often imagined a day when she would finally discover her path, a moment when gratitude would dance on her lips, perhaps even a simple thank you would escape her heart. She never did, not once in all her days. And so it was that the day arrived when father suffered a stroke. It struck him with a force that left him reeling, and my mother found herself struggling to bear the weight of it all alone. In a time when shadows loomed large and uncertainty filled the air, I made the choice to step away from the daily grind. I became the steadfast companion, driving him to appointments, battling the relentless tides of insurance, and enduring those harrowing nights in the ICU, all to ensure she would not face the storm alone. In their heartfelt whispers, they declared, "You are our steadfast rock." They proclaimed with conviction, "This moment shall forever remain etched in our memories." Yet they did. Every last bit of it. In the tapestry of my existence, I wove threads of money, time, and love, sacrificing countless hours to construct my own life, all in the hope of holding theirs together. In the quiet corners of my heart, I held no expectations, for I gave freely, without the desire for anything in return. Only loyalty remains. Only the truth shall be told. All I sought was their presence by my side when the storms of life grew fierce. In that fateful moment, when Samira deemed me a burden, she wove her fabric of deceit, and they embraced her falsehoods over the steadfast loyalty I had offered. And in the quiet of those nights, I believed I was weaving a tapestry of support for my family. It seems I was crafting a dwelling for souls who never intended to welcome me within its walls. "As you desire." And that was all I uttered. There shall be no raised voices. There shall be no pleas or cries for mercy. No lengthy tales unraveling my story or attempting to mend their distorted narrative of reality. Only 4 humble words. With a sense of anticipation, I sent the message and beheld the three dots materialize on the screen for a fleeting moment. And so, they vanished into the ether. Silence enveloped the room, as if the very air held its breath, waiting for a response that never came. There was not a whisper of remorse, not even a fleeting shadow of guilt to be found. In their hearts, they must have believed they had emerged victorious. There I would go, slipping away into the shadows, a heart heavy with the burden of a fractured family, feeling the sting of humiliation and defeat wrap around me like a cloak. Perhaps they envisioned me weeping in a shadowy corner, endlessly revisiting their words until I find myself offering apologies for transgressions I never truly committed. Yet, they remained unaware of who I truly was. Alas, that is not the case. Little did they know I had already grieved their absence long before they departed. In a time long past, before the words ever graced the page, I sensed the gradual seep of separation, the chill lurking behind their cheerful facades, and the way Samira artfully bent every circumstance to serve her own purpose. With a heart full of hope, I poured my prayers and efforts into the dream of our unity. But what of that text? And so it was the day of the funeral. That night, I laid to rest the notion of us. As dawn broke, I donned a fresh blouse, gathered my hair into a neat tie, and stepped into my lawyer's office with the resolute air of a woman who had shed all but her dignity, ready to reclaim what was rightfully hers. As I stepped into the familiar office, there he was, Mr. Rahman, the family lawyer who had once guided my parents through the intricate maze of a mortgage. His eyes lit up with recognition, as if the years had melted away in an instant. Isla, a name that dances on the tongue like a whisper carried by the wind. Is all well in your world? A smile graced my lips. It shall come to pass. Once upon a time, there arose a need to alter certain property documents, a task that beckoned for careful attention and thoughtful consideration. He blinked. The house, you ask? A place where stories unfold and memories linger, waiting to be discovered. With a gentle inclination of my head, I acknowledged the moment. Indeed, I wish for my name to be removed from it. In that moment, his eyes grew wide with astonishment. You helped purchase it. Such a notion would imply. I hold the understanding close to my heart, as if it were a cherished secret waiting to be unveiled. My gesture was not born from a place of kindness. I did not turn my back out of weakness. In the grand tapestry of life, I found myself weaving a strategy that stretched far into the horizon, a journey where patience was my steadfast companion. But let me tell you, the house held a secret within its very deed, a clause that lingered like a whisper in the shadows. It was a decree that proclaimed any shift in ownership or removal would necessitate the complete agreement of all parties involved, along with a fresh negotiation of the loan's obligations. In the absence of my name on those documents, the path ahead would lead them to the necessity of refinancing. Once upon a time, there was a journey that began from nothing, a blank canvas waiting to be filled with dreams and possibilities. But what of their credit? What of their earnings? Alas, it would not suffice. With a furrowed brow, Mr. Rahman examined the paperwork, each page revealing secrets waiting to be uncovered. Would you like to send them a word of caution? No, I declared with unwavering resolve. Have their lawyer reach out to me. Allow him to feel the stirrings of panic before anything else unfolds. With a sly grin, he set to work on the forms, his pen dancing across the paper like a conductor leading an orchestra. In that fleeting moment, a profound stillness enveloped me. There was no trace of anger, no whisper of sadness, only a rare and precious clarity washed over my soul. In that moment, I found myself not seeking the role of the one who mends things. In that moment, I found myself neither pleading for recognition nor yearning for the sound of my own voice to echo in the silence. In a moment of clarity, I found myself reclaiming the reins of my life, not by seeking vengeance, but by weaving a careful plan. Allow them to think that my journey had reached its end. Allow them to believe that silence is a sign of defeat. In a world where one has been overlooked time and again, there lies a profound strength in the subtle act of a quiet smile. It is in those moments, when the eyes of others are averted, that the true magic unfolds, transforming the very rules of the game, reshaping destiny with a gentle yet resolute hand. Little did they know, and what remained a mystery to my family, was that the power they believed they wielded over me had never truly been mine to relinquish. Indeed, I inscribed my name upon the mortgage, signed the documents with a heart full of trust, believing I was taking the right path. Yet, there lingered a secret within me, a truth they overlooked, for I had never felt the urge to showcase it. In that moment, I realized I still held the key to my rightful claim on the property, untouched and unyielded. In that moment, I found myself as the principal guardian of the deed, a title that carried both weight and responsibility. In a world where shadows often swallowed the unassuming, my family moved with a swiftness that left me feeling unseen, as if they believed I would fade away without a trace. Yet, in truth, I had been leaving the door ajar for possibilities to unfold. With a clear purpose in my heart, I stepped forward to lend my hand in their time of need, guiding them through the journey of transforming their house. In the tapestry of my life, caution wove its threads even into the fabric of my generosity. In that moment, I knew I was no fool. As I stepped into Mr. Ramon's office that fateful morning, the pieces of the puzzle began to align, revealing the grand design that awaited us. He was in the midst of crafting the essential papers to officially erase my name from the house deed. He remained silent, not probing into the reasons behind my desire for discretion, and for that, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Throughout our encounters, he maintained a demeanor of professionalism, seeing me not as a naive young woman who had fallen prey to the whims of others, but rather as a client deserving of respect. As he diligently sifted through the mountains of paperwork, I leaned back, allowing my thoughts to wander and replay the events that had unfolded. In the moments when they found themselves ensnared in the relentless grip of traffic, I took it upon myself to reach out, making those phone calls that would bridge the distance and ease their worries. In the quiet hours of the night, I found myself wide awake, diligently ensuring that their health insurance was in perfect order. The coins I had offered time and time again, as if they were mere whispers in the wind. And now they sought to wipe me from their memories, as if I were merely a fleeting annoyance in their grand tale. Yet little did they know, they were up against a figure well-versed in the intricacies of the fine print. My name graced the deed, yet it represented more than mere ownership. In that moment, one could feel the weight of authority in the air. And so it came to pass that when my name was stripped from the house paperwork, the power they believed they held over the property would slip through their fingers like sand, leaving them powerless in their misguided control. Without my consent, the house belonged to no one but me. Alas, it is not within the bounds of the law. I could have made a scene. There was a moment when I could have approached them, shared my intentions, and ensured they understood the strategy one was unfolding before them. Yet I chose not to. I yearned for them to grasp the profound gravity of their error. In that moment of revelation, a wave of disbelief washed over them, for they understood that this predicament could not be resolved with just a mere phone call or a letter from a lawyer. Once I had inscribed my name on the last of the forms, I returned them to Mr. Ramon, a curious calm washing over me. It would take a few days for the paperwork to weave its way through the labyrinth of processing. Yet, when the final stroke was completed, the house would once more be cast into the realm of opportunity, awaiting its next fortunate soul. Alas, the opportunity to refinance would slip through their fingers. Alas, the chances of selling it were but a distant dream, and I would be the one wielding the power. Yet, in that moment, revenge was not what I sought. In that moment, I found myself reclaiming what was once offered from the depths of my heart. In the stillness of their routine, they would soon uncover a truth, a revelation that what they had once deemed insignificant had exacted a price far greater than their wildest dreams could fathom. 2 days later, I was stirred from my slumber by the relentless ringing of my phone, a cacophony that demanded my attention. The number on the screen was unfamiliar, but something in my gut told me it was about to be important. I picked up, still half asleep, trying to shake the haze of the morning. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was frantic, breathless. "Isla? It's Mr. Kareem, your family's lawyer." My stomach dropped, my name was on the tip of his tongue, and the panic in his voice was unmistakable. "Isla, we need to talk. Immediately." In the midst of unfolding events, a weighty matter has emerged, demanding our utmost attention. As I propped myself up in bed, a wild rhythm pulsed in my chest. What tale unfolds before us? In the stillness that followed, he took a moment, gathering his thoughts, before his voice broke the silence once more. Once upon a time, there existed a collection of documents, each one holding the key to a piece of land, a home, or a dream. This was the property paperwork, a treasure trove of information waiting to be unveiled. Once upon a time, there was a singular presence that captured the essence of existence. A being of wonder and intrigue, you stood at the center of your own tale, weaving through the fabric of life with grace and purpose. In a decisive moment, you took the steps to erase your name from the deed, marking a significant change in your journey. A gentle smile began to dance at the corners of my lips. "Yes, I did." He sputtered in disbelief. But, Isla, you can't just do that. You helped buy the house. Your family's relying on that property. Without your name on the deed, they can't refinance, they can't sell it, they can't even make the mortgage payments without your approval." I leaned back against the pillows, my voice calm. "I understand. And so, it came to be that I took that step." In a moment of sheer desperation, his voice soared, trembling with panic. "This is not merely a small legal error, dear Isla. They have been entirely severed from any right to that property. In the absence of your name upon the deed, the truth unfolds. They no longer possess it as their own. They possess no legal claim to the house." In the quiet of the room, the rhythmic tapping of his fingers on the keyboard filled the air, as if he were navigating through a labyrinth of legal documents, each one a potential storm waiting to unfold. He continued, his voice taking on a softer, almost pleading quality. "You've placed your family in a very difficult situation. Should they fail to mend this swiftly, they stand to lose it all." My hands remained calm, unwavering, untouched by the tremors of guilt or fear that others might have anticipated. In that moment, a wave of tranquility washed over me, a serene detachment that I had longed for ever since that fateful text had appeared in my inbox. With a gentle whisper, I expressed my belief. "I'm sure they'll find their way. I'm certain they will find a way." As the moments passed, a storm of frustration began to swell within him. "Isla, I implore you to pause and reflect on your actions. In the shadows of your choices lies a peril that could threaten the very foundation of your family's future. They're not prepared for this kind of fallout. We're talking about a total financial disaster. They can't even access the house without you. You've left them essentially homeless. And for what? It is essential that you reverse this course of action." In that moment, I understood the depths of his journey. He was weaving a web of persuasion, attempting to sway me into changing my mind about my choice. Perhaps he believed that anger simmered within me. Perhaps he believed that I was in pain. Yet, I found myself not in that place. It had transcended the realms of anger and pain, evolving into something far more profound. Once upon a time, there came a moment when I found the courage to rise and speak for my own truth. In a moment unlike any I had ever known, I found myself unburdened by the urge to mend every little thing. It wasn't my intention to keep everything in place for them. I had offered all that I could give. And now, the time had come for them to face the repercussions of underestimating my worth. With a resolute tone, I declared my decision, my voice unwavering. "The resolution lies in your hands and those of your clients. May you find the path to mend it together." With a swift motion, I ended the call, silencing his voice before he could utter another word. My fingers lingered above the phone, suspended in a moment of anticipation. Once burdened by the gravity of choice, the heart now felt light, as if the clouds of uncertainty had parted to reveal a clear sky. It was as if a weight had been lifted, a gentle breeze carrying away the burdens of the past. Amidst the turmoil, a sense of urgency echoed through the line, a whirlwind of fear and confusion on the other end of that call. The weight of that burden now rested upon their shoulders, not mine. In that moment, I reclaimed what rightfully belonged to me. As the dust began to settle, the weight of their error slowly crept into their hearts, a dawning realization that would change everything. It came as no shock when they appeared at my doorstep. It was clear to me that the sands of time were shifting, and soon, the inevitable would unfold. They had misjudged my spirit, cast me aside, believing I would simply surrender and plead for their return. Yet, this was not a time of frailty for me. In that fleeting instant, the fog lifted, revealing a truth that had long been obscured. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the room, a sudden knock echoed through the stillness. Before I even turned the knob, a familiar sense washed over me, revealing the identity of the visitor waiting just beyond the threshold. Samira stood there first, her eyes red, face blotchy from crying. Behind her, my parents lingered, their expressions a mix of desperation and disbelief. Samira's voice trembled as soon as she saw me. "Isla, please, you've got to fix this. You have to put your name back on the deed. We can't lose the house. We'll figure things out, I promise." In the quiet moments of reflection, we came to realize that we had erred in our judgments. "We extend our sincerest apologies." Her words poured forth, a torrent of remorse that she wished would cleanse her of the stain of betrayal. As I observed her, my heart was neither heavy with anger nor burdened by sorrow. Instead, I found myself enveloped in a serene detachment that took me by surprise. "Forgive me?" I inquired gently, as though the words had danced just out of reach of my understanding. "You're sorry." With a gentle nod, she let out a soft sniffle. "Indeed, I understand that we have caused you pain. Yet, dear Isla, your presence is essential to us. From the very beginning, you have stood by our side, unwavering and steadfast. Please don't do this. We must not allow ourselves to lose it all." With a voice that trembled with urgency, my father began to speak. "Isla, gather round and lend us your ears. In this moment of uncertainty, we find ourselves at a crossroads, longing for your guidance to illuminate the path forward. In the heart of our journey, we stand together as one, bound by the ties of kinship and love. We are your family. One mustn't simply cast aside all that once held meaning." Once upon a time, a call for assistance echoed through the air, a plea that resonated with urgency and hope. "Please, we need your help," it whispered, inviting a response from those who could lend a hand. As I gazed upon each of them, a heavy silence enveloped me, the echoes of their messages from just days past lingering in the air like a haunting melody. In the dim light, I leaned closer, my breath a mere whisper. "You're dead to us." The words hung in the air, fragile and haunting. Yet, the resonance of those words lingered in the space that separated us. But do you recall the words you spoke? They linger in the air like a whisper from the past. Those very words spoken with precision. In the shadows of our hearts, you have faded away, leaving only echoes of what once was. In due time, our lawyer shall reach out to you with a call. In every moment we faced, your sister stood as a steadfast beacon, never wavering in her support. Our journey continues, and your presence is not required. As their expressions turned to stone, a hush fell over the scene, and for a fleeting instant, it seemed as though the very fabric of time had paused, holding its breath in anticipation. In their eyes, I glimpsed a flicker of regret, a dawning awareness of the weight their actions carried, unfolding like the first light of dawn. Yet, the path ahead was set, and retreat was no longer an option. In the grand tapestry of life, I was not merely a thread to be pulled upon in times of despair, a mere fallback when their universe began to unravel. Text, I no longer require your dependence, I declared, taking a step back to gently close the door, yet leaving it ajar just enough to emphasize my message. In the end, the decision was yours to embrace. In the shadows of your choices, I found myself cast aside, a mere afterthought when all else had faltered. Once upon a time, you cast me aside, leaving me to wander alone, and now here you stand, asking me to mend what was broken. Before me, my father's hands trembled, and his face contorted in a haunting expression of desperation. Isla, I implore you, do not take this path. We extend our sincerest apologies. In this moment, your presence is essential to us. Please, I'll make it right. Isla, I shook my head, cutting him off. No, you don't get to erase what you did. Not with an apology. Not with tears. In the tapestry of life, you wove your decision, and now you must face the threads that follow. My journey of mending all that was broken for you has come to an end. As I gazed upon Samira, her expression twisted in sorrow, tears cascading down her cheeks like a gentle rain, yet I found myself unable to reach out and offer her solace. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound, its roots entwined within my heart, making it impossible to mend with mere words of remorse. With a steady voice, I uttered my farewell. It is my sincere wish that you have found your own way, for this time I shall not be the one to come to your rescue. And so it was. I gently closed the door behind me, not in a fit of rage, but as a mark of conclusion. In that moment, the path behind us faded into shadows, a distant memory that could never be revisited, not for me, nor for them. They had ventured beyond a threshold from which there was no return. It was never my desire to bring about their ruin. It pained me to witness them falter, burdened by the very choices they had made. That simply didn't resonate with me. Revenge held no allure for me. No, what I did was far more satisfying, far more meaningful in the long run. I wasn't about to burn bridges. I was simply going to walk away from a family that had already let me go. In the beginning of my journey, I took the bold step of parting ways with the house. It was never solely about the coins and bills that clinked in one's pocket. It was a journey of reclaiming what was rightfully mine, a quest to seize the reins of my existence and to dismantle the illusions they had so thoughtlessly embraced as their own. In that moment, the house stood as a testament to my ownership, a silent guardian of my rights. While they floundered in their panic, I held my ground, calm and composed, like a steady lighthouse amidst a stormy sea. In that moment, my resolve was as steadfast as the ancient oaks that stood tall against the winds of doubt. There were no second thoughts, no wavering on my decision. In a swift turn of events, I parted with it for a price that, while generous, would still send my family into a flurry of uncertainty. The proceeds, you see, they were not meant for my own pocket. Not entirely. I donated a significant portion to a women's shelter that I had volunteered at a few times in the past. It seemed as though the winds of fate had whispered a truth, guiding the heart towards a choice that resonated with purpose, a profound, restorative path to channel the resources at hand. In the heart of the city, there stood a shelter, a beacon of hope for countless women seeking refuge from the shadows of their past. It was a place where they could break free from the chains of abuse and embark on the journey toward new beginnings. In my heart, I felt a calling to uplift them, to share the gift of empowerment that I was beginning to embrace for my own journey. And so it was that the remaining funds were entrusted to the promise of my own future, a new chapter waiting to unfold. With careful thought and a keen eye, I placed my trust in the sturdy foundations of real estate and dipped my toes into the ever-changing waters of the stock market. It was never about the riches that glittered in the light. In a time not so long ago, there lay a quest for security and independence, a yearning for a future that had remained elusive, hidden behind the shadows of selflessness and the constant care for others. In the wake of it all, my family found themselves navigating the turbulent waters of the aftermath. It was a sight that tugged at the heartstrings, for they had woven their own fate, and now they were bound to rest upon it. In the days that unfolded after, I kept my distance from them, as if an invisible barrier had formed between us. The calls came, the apologies, the letters from their lawyer, full of threats and desperate pleas. They begged me to reverse the sale, to give them back their home. They sought to weave their web around me, tugging at the strings of my guilt and the weight of their expectations, yet I remained silent, unmoved by their pleas. In the midst of it all, I chose to turn a blind eye. With a resolute heart, I turned them away from my life's door. It wasn't out of cruelty, but rather from the wisdom gained through trials. I had discovered, through the shadows of experience, that I could no longer allow anyone to wield such power over my spirit. As the weeks flowed by, I found myself embracing the tranquility of my new apartment. It was a sanctuary, a place where the weight of the world seemed to lift, and in that stillness, I discovered a profound sense of freedom. In that moment, I felt a lightness, unburdened by the relentless expectation to be the hero in everyone else's tale. It was not my burden to bear, to hold all the pieces in place. At long last, I found myself able to inhale deeply, to experience the pure essence of breath, a sensation that had eluded me for countless years. And so it happened on a fateful day, a message arrived from Samira. In the quiet of the moment, a brief message appeared, carrying the weight of an apology. "We're sorry." In that moment, clarity eluded us. "We've lost everything. We invite you to share your thoughts with us." As I gazed upon the screen, a curious tranquility enveloped my heart. In that moment, there was an absence of joy in the message, no exhilarating surge of victory, merely a serene acknowledgement of a truth I had long since embraced. Silence enveloped me, and I chose not to reply. There was no necessity for me to do so. Once upon a time, there came a moment when my parents, who had always been a constant presence in my life, chose silence over connection. They never called me again. They had ventured forth, as they had always done when the storms of life grew fierce. Yet on this occasion, the veil of pretense was nowhere to be found. In a world where shadows danced and whispers lingered, the truth loomed large, an undeniable force that could not be hidden beneath the heavy shrouds of manipulation and guilt they had woven around it. In the shadows of their choices, they had cast me aside, and now they stood alone, grappling with the weight of their betrayal and the consequences that followed. In that moment, a profound realization washed over me, as if the universe had conspired to place me precisely in the right spot, at the right time, for the very first time in my life. In that moment, I realized I was the captain of my own ship, sailing through the vast ocean of life, unanchored by the expectations of others. In a moment of clarity, I realized that my own happiness was not to be bartered away for the sake of a family that failed to recognize my worth. In a time not so long ago, I found myself wandering through life, unburdened by the weight of others' dreams and desires, embracing the sweet taste of freedom. As I gazed into the horizon of what was yet to come, a gentle sense of contentment washed over me. In a moment of profound realization, I found myself releasing the bonds of a family that had once held the very essence of my heart. As I turned my back, it was not in a fit of rage, but with a quiet sense of pride that accompanied my steps. And thus, I had reclaimed the true power that was rightfully mine. At long last, I had embraced the essence of who I truly am.